he's got glasses on and he wears a suit. And when he showed up, people were like, "What is this regular dude doing in Destiny? That guy was my barista last week in New York. What is this dude? Who's this guy?" So like,
Hey everybody, I'm Frank Kim, the co-writer and co-producer of the sci-fi feature film, The Distant Jump, and I'm also the creator of the West Moon Chronicle comic book series. This week I got to sit down with Brian Villalobos, an old friend and an actor whom you may have seen in movies directed by the likes of David E. Kelley and Richard Linklater. And for you gamers out there, you may especially know him as the voice of Lodi on Destiny 2: The Edge of Fate. Thank you so much for being on here. Do you want to tell the audience who your character is?
my character is a guy named Lodi who debuted this year, and he's a linguist. He's been pulled through time. So there are these eldritch kind of like planetary, interplanetary giant deity entities called the Nine who run everything and like influence events on Earth and all throughout the universe. And they have yoinked him from the past to the world of Destiny, which is in the far-flung future. And he was part of like a CIA type organization, and he speaks a million languages. And he was like, he's kind of like he's got glasses on and he wears a suit. And when he showed up, people were like, "What is this regular dude doing in Destiny? Why is this?" And like, it was great. Like, people were like, that guy was my barista last month in last week in New York. What is this dude? Who's this guy? They, a bunch of stuff like that. But like, then the thing came out, and the response has been really nice. There's a movie called Man Finds Tape that's out right now.
Yeah, I saw that you guys got a write-up in Variety. And
Yeah.
I forget the other one. Some of the bigger publications have been talking about this movie.
Yeah. It's a small Texas town, and there's a pastor there, and this sister goes back to kind of see something's gone wrong with her brother, and then there's like greater, darker, again, eldritch things possibly going on. And I play a character who kind of wanders in and wanders out and sort of brings with him those sort of eldritch influences, and it's kind of like a little puzzle box thing. But people, it's been, reception has been nice there, and it's a stylish, well done movie.
That's great. My collaborator, Vinny Hogan, he and I decided to start this YouTube channel, and we're promoting sci-fi themes and talking about technology and all that. And it's because we not only love sci-fi movies and shows, but also we just started to realize once AI became huge that we live in a sci-fi future now. And
we sure do. It's not the way we thought, but there are moments when I just look at everything going on in the world and I go like, is this just like crazy on a different level? Like, but also I was a kid, so I'm an adult. Maybe I'm just paying attention more. But like long ago, I was like, no, this is unprecedented. Like, all the things that are going on right now on so many levels and so many spheres are just like, no, this is different. I mean, that's what it always is, right? Like, the AI like starts solving all our problems, and we're like, oh, this is pretty good. And then and they're like, oh, it's really efficient, and like, oh, and then like AI immediately, and then they get to the point where they're like, humans are inefficient. Oh, they've made the world worse. They've trashed the environment. The problem is humanity, and we're like, yeah, you're right, but can we stick around though, please? And then they just have the whole, yeah. What a weird time. What a weird time to be living.
It is a very weird time. I agree. I think where a lot of the sci-fi writers missed the boat was how much social media would become a thing in our society.
Absolutely.
And like in Blade Runner, they warned us about the megalith corporations taking over and all that, and then artificial intelligence and human form and all that. But there was no internet, there was no social media influencing minds and all that. So I think that's where things have gotten really weird in IRL is like, okay, like we have all the things that they warned us about, plus this whole other massive problem called the internet and social media and misinformation.
Yeah.
So
Oh gosh. Oh, that. And then like just in general, like the whole this giant thing that's built on farming our attention and our anxiety, and like and increasing all. I mean, it just mental, I don't know, distress, like an emotional distress. Like, not that, like, I mean, I use social media. I like genuinely enjoy the connection that it fosters. Like, I genuinely
Hmm.
enjoy a lot about it.
And I think what's interesting too is how even as the internet started to arise as this like force in our lives, people kind of imagined it would go a different way. Because I remember when Steven Spielberg made AI,
Hmm.
and then that came out in theaters. I actually saw it in theaters, and it's interesting because Haley Joel Osment's character and Jude Law's character, they go to do what's basically the equivalent of a Google search in their world, but they have to pay for it. Like they go to the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
phone booth thing or whatever, and they have to put coins in and then like do this search. And
It's like
I,
calling the operator in the 50s or whatever. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Calling
yeah,
one 600 or whatever it was. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I think that came out when Google had just come out, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
Um, but that's the thing. It was like they didn't see that what would happen is all these internet search engines like Google and back in the day like Ask Jeeves and Lycos,
Yeah,
like those were they're free, and but they're free for a reason because the
absolutely.
masterminds behind that were basically selling our data and
Absolutely.
collecting us as products. So yeah, I think
Sure.
that's where it was like, I think things could have gone more the route of like, yeah, we have to pay for these things like Facebook or, Google or whatever. And then
Yeah.
it would have been a different landscape because then they wouldn't have so much power over us. But
Gosh, that's
it's,
fascinating. I mean, that really was such a like an interesting, but that's such a crazy like fork in the road.
hmm,
And I have literally never thought about it until you said it, that like maybe the one difference was like playing on the fact that people are skinflints and don't want to pay for something, like not doing that, like being like, well, just make our money by charging, and people would have been like, well, I'll do it sparingly when I need it, as opposed to like,
right.
I mean, that's crazy. But I mean,
But,
they're paying for AI now. They're paying, like, you have to pay for, don't you have to pay
yeah. Now,
for
yeah.
ChatGPT, or like past a certain, maybe there's like a free version.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't used it in a while,
Yeah,
but
I
I
haven't.
know with Mid-Journey when that came out, it was like you
Oh
could do
yeah.
10 different prompts for free or something like that,
Oh my
and then
gosh.
after that you had to start paying for it.
Like, I understand it. I understand why people are drawn to it. Like, there is a part of me that's like fascinated by it. That's like, look, it's just this thing that collects, legally or not, whatever, just like collects all the accumulated. I mean, it's the internet, but like whatever. It's a Google search that can like think, and that's insane. Like, that's
Yeah.
crazy. That's a crazy,
Yeah.
because like there are times when you're like, I have to find the right, like I have to do, oh, but then that brings this up, and then you just have to search the articles to find the thing that has the phrase, and you have to like find the, like whatever. Like, we all know, we've been doing that for years. But then this thing goes like, you can go, I mean, you can be like, find this song, but this, but not, where what's the thing that goes, and it's like all those things together, and it can learn from you, I guess. It learns how you,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I grew up in the 80s when there was really
Yeah, yeah,
no
yeah,
internet, and then now here we are. I
yeah,
was curious about your take on that. So this is perfect that you're already talking about this
yeah.
because yeah, I mean, what kind of I guess like lessons would you take away from your experience of like seeing the rise of all this
Oh
technology
man.
and
Yeah, I mean, I'm like you. I'm 45. It is fascinating to me sometimes to stop and think. They're like, oh man, like we're one of the last to kind of conceivably, at least possibly, remember a time without the internet. But we've had it so long that we're versed in it, and we kind of, it's not, like our parents, or like a generation or two ahead of us, and like we're not like lost. Although now it just exponentially grows every
mm,
second. I mean, like, that's the thing, is that like, so I like, my wife and I, like, we have two kids, and I look at them and I think of, I mean, you see reports and stuff on like the kids who have not grown up without social media. You know what I mean? Like,
hmm,
like the world has always been this thing, and there's access, but then like, I don't know. Like, when we see, internet comment sections and stuff, and we're like, oh, this is just the work because people have no accountability or whatever, and we're like, oh, it's like people acting like they're in middle school again. It's like, well, middle schools are also dealing with actual middle schoolers, and I'm not trying to like trash middle schoolers. Like, I think because the adults obviously aren't doing a great job either, but like, I guess this makes me sound old, but like, I'm very glad I didn't have social media before I did. The only reason I got it was for acting. I was like, oh, well, this is you make
Mm.
connections and whatever, and you do, and it works. But then like, and I also happen to be, I love, like, I really like communicating verbally, in writing, and I like the connections, that I've been able to hold on to, and like people, like, get back in touch with people, and then you kind of like you can maintain relationships that like you don't. So I don't have any. I feel like I don't have any time, like uh, to kind of go out and maintain a social life because we've got two kids, and I'm trying to put food on the table, and I'd like that's all I feel like I have time for. Um, so social media is good in those ways, and it's amazing in those ways. That's the thing, is that like technology, it's never the technology, it's like what we do with it. And on a long enough timeline, we're always going to start doing the worst things with it, as well as like some of the best, right? Like, my wife and I used to teach at a high school, and you ever see the 21 Jump Street, re not like not remake, but like that when they made it a
Oh,
movie with Jonah Hill and Channing
Joan,
Tatum.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's this scene, and this now that's like I don't know, it's like a 15-year-old movie. I don't know, but like, uh, there's this scene where because they go back to high school and whatever, and they like Jonah Hill's character was like a nerd in high school, and Channing Tatum was like a jock, and he's like, oh, I know this, check it out, and he I don't know, I can't really remember it too much, but he like maybe like slaps the books out of someone's hand. He's like, nerd or whatever, and he's like, oh yeah, and he's like, I was cool, so I'll be cool again. And he says something about like this dude's talking about recycling or whatever, and like Dave Franco, who at the time was probably 22 or something, plays this like cool high school kid. He's like the leader of the cool high school kids, and he's like, yeah, dude, you don't recycle. And he's like, and Channing Tatum's like, what, and like, and I it was, to me, that was so funny because I was working at high school at the time, and I was like, that's true. Like the younger generations are actually like all the stuff that I feel like in the 80s and really really more in the 90s that I saw growing up, where people were like they had Captain Planet, and they were trying to get us into like conservation and caring about the environment. Like, I think finally caught on with these newer generations, hopefully. I mean, like, it finally has gone from like becoming like it's gone from being like this niche, like vegetarianism was like a thing where like my wife grew up vegetarian. I'm a vegetarian now, but she grew up vegetarian. Like, she would go and like in Texas in the 90s. So it's like not like people were like, they'd go and they'd try to order something without meat, and they'd be like, hey, come here, tell them what you ordered. Just tell them what you told me that you want to eat. This is great. This is great. Like, listen, and like it's gone from that to like it's all over, right? And it's and caring about the environment is not cool, right? And like recycling is everywhere. I mean, so like there are ways in which I just think like hopefully we're moving in a direction where things like that. I used to think that a lot harder. I used to be like really, really encouraged about it. There are signs that there are signs that some of the younger generation wants to go back to the way things were in some ways, and I'm just like, that blows my mind, man. I'm like, really? Okay. But here's the thing, and this is maybe the most sci-fi thing I'll say. I think it's all ultimately, when I get really whatever, I'm just kind of like, well, it's all an illusion. It's all an illusion. None of it's real. All we just have each other, and like I think all you can do is take one step at a time and love the person in front of you. That's all. So I think that's that's where I land. Which is not to say don't fight, don't use your voice. You have to do those things. You have to do what you can and what you're pulled to, but like, and it's this tension between like you do what you can and you do what you think is right, but ultimately I feel pretty powerless, but not in like a bad way. It's in sort of like a, well, we'll see we'll see where this goes. Again, while using your voice to talk about the things that you think are right, and like voting your conscience, and like and standing up for what you think is right, but like it's just this crazy, this it's a human experiment. And with the AI thing specifically, in terms of like, you know, I mean, you're creative, you're an actor, same, and like it's this thing where like I do find myself going like, I can't believe that like AI finally like birthed itself, or like it was birthed, and we like, and like Isaac Asimov and everyone from like from Jules Verne to Isaac Asimov to like James Cameron is like spinning in their graves or would be graves and being like, I thought we agreed. I thought we all were in agreement that like letting the computers do everything was not like letting I mean, that's just so much like, um I so we've gotten to that point, and I can't believe that like, at least from my perspective, it seems like they immediately came for art, and I'm like, how? Like, how is that? Like, that's the one thing that art is human. It's the only thing. That's the only requirement. That it's like art, in my opinion, is there. Uh, it is human expression. It is how we tell each other that we're not alone. The reason I want to make tell stories, be an actor, be in movies, whatever. Like I'll watch a movie that is not connected to me, uh, is so separated from me in terms of like sometimes like time, culture, geography. Like it's like it's a movie from a distant country made in the 50s or whatever, from a like a vastly different perspective, and like a totally different culture, like a world that isn't mine. But then like, you've had the experience where a movie like that says something, and you go, I didn't realize anyone else ever felt that, and I
Mhm.
felt that. And that is a profound experience that goes like, oh my gosh, we really are not alone. We really are all the same in all the ways that matter, right? And if you take that, and I watched that same movie, but it was generated by a computer, I I might feel more alone than ever. You know what I mean? Like, I understand the attraction because it is remarkable. It is unbelievable what it can do, especially now. And then like in 45 minutes it'll be 1,000 times better. And but I just think that like, like when I first started seeing it, I was like, oh man, here it is. This is it. I can't believe it's happening. And I was like, well, okay, here uh there are a few paths that I can see. Either it takes over and I have to go do anything else, and that'll be a very sad day. Um, or like like human made art remains a thing in the way that like vinyl is, or like physical newspaper is, right? Where it's just like, yeah, it's like a niche thing. I think we've had enough evidence of the contrary, that like, to the contrary, hopefully. I mean, we're still in the early stages, which is insane because it's so advanced. But we've seen signs that people are like, no, 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 we want human art. And whether that, hopefully that's genuine, that kind of like mass sentiment. Because yes, because there's a thing where you're like, oh well, like, they invented the printing press, and like people who like were doing movable type were like, oh, there goes my job or whatever. And you're like, well, come on. And I was always like, I was like, nah, man, the march of progress, the march of technology, you got to get with it. You can't let that, because I was like, because I think subconsciously my brain was like, the one thing that a computer will never be able to do is tell a joke or like make me feel something with a performance. Like 100%, that'll never happen. And I don't know where we are, but we're on that trajectory. And I just was like, either it'll be a niche thing, it'll be gone completely. People will artificially resist it for as long as they can. Like people will be like, well, we're not on principle. Or like it'll like split the market, like in the way that like when reality TV came in, it was like, well, now we have like, because reality TV was like a gradual thing. They did a thing I think in the '70s where they were like American Family or something. It was called something. It was essentially a reality TV show. And then people were like, wow, weird, interesting experiment. And then they had like, you know, Road Rules and that's weird that I mentioned Road Rules first. What's the big one?
Uh, MTV's Real World.
Real world, yeah, the real world,
Yeah.
yeah, like that. And people were like, wow, this is fascinating, but like it's the real world and it's the only one that does it. And then Road Rules came in. It's so weird to talk about Road Rules. Road Rules came in and was like, it's that, but it's challenges. And we're like, okay. And then Survivor. And like now we've gotten to the point where it's like segmented the market, right? Like there's reality television and there's like narrative program. So like I don't know, I was like, well, maybe AI will come in and segment it further. And there's like AI,
Mm.
like maybe reality TV becomes more valuable. I don't know. But it'll be like AI reality and narrative stuff, and then like human made reality and narrative stuff. And then there's also the possibility that people could be like, I want to watch Avengers 16, but like make me, the Winter Soldier, make me Captain America, and like I get to like smooch the Black Widow, or you like you just and like that's like, but like I say that and that sounds dismissive, but like if I also understand where I'm like, if I can just go show me a season of The Simpsons, um, but like created by Vince Gilligan or something, you know what I mean? Like that's interesting. I would sure I'll look at that to see what that would be. Um, like I can understand that sentiment, but I got to the point where I thought through it and thought through it and thought through it, and I was like, well, you know what? I think maybe the most optimistic view, and this does not, I don't mean this sarcastically, like, is that AI will finally infiltrate everything and and take over every thing that we do for work, to the point where the current capitalist financial system crumbles and whatever governing body is in charge goes, all right, well, we're just the paradigm shifted. We don't work for money anymore. Um, like, I don't know, we hand everything over to the robots and then we just do whatever we want with our time. And which will often I think take the form of like maybe it's utopia. Maybe we get to just do the things that we love. Maybe we make art, but just for ourselves, or not just for ourselves, but just for expression. Maybe we all become subsistence farmers. Maybe I don't know, but I also don't know if that. I also don't. I don't really envision like that crossover, like which is just the craziest idea ever. But like oh, we're just gonna shift total systemic paradigms, and like so like this whole stratified financial structure we have is just going to go away and peacefully. Like I don't know about that. So they say there's no putting the genie back in the bottle, and I don't know. I'm like maybe we could we try it? Can we just all pretend we didn't see all that? No, I don't know. And like I don't think that's the answer either. I think everything, just to get into the sci-fi thing or the maybe post-apocalyptic thing. Like I don't think that we're here as a human experiment to just um, live through what we've lived through and then see it crumble and then suffer and die. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world, but by and large, in the day-to-day, when I run into people, there is still human kindness. We are still kind to each other face to face. Often, I hope we can just find ways to just increase the love, man. That's all.
I think that that's a great answer, honestly.
I
No,
mean, like, I don't know what it looks like, but hey, we hear it all the time, and I think it is true that, like, there's this idea that we are more divided than we ever have been. And if you look for the evidence online, absolutely you can find it. But I also think that that is a bit of a manufactured narrative, either purposefully or not. Like it's very true that we disagree. It's very, very true that we disagree. But again, face to face, people like one to one, people can be kind to each other. People find commonality and reach for that commonality. So I think that there's this thing where we look up at the people who we've deigned our leaders, and we just see all this infighting, and we're like, yeah, man, and like I'm team this and you're team that, and so like we're just whatever. But like, again, if you meet someone in the supermarket and someone has a flat tire or whatever, like there are people are still helping each other without concern for the ballot box or whatever. Like, I think that the less we look up to human leaders for the answer to where are we as people, and the more we look at each other. I mean, like, there is just this idea that we're so divided, but I don't think we have to be, but I think it's very, 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 very hard not to carry that belief around with you that we are divided, because we're told that constantly every day. And we're told that by people who believe it passionately, and we're also told that because it farms views, and we're told that because it keeps us in anxiety, and like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, people are running businesses, and like, I understand it's weird. I always was able to come back to, like, look, man, no one gets up in the morning and like goes, well, here's a choice to be good and here's a choice to be evil, and I understand both fully, and I am a whole unencumbered person, and I'm seeing things clearly, and I just choose evil because why not? Like, I think that there is confusion. I think there is misinformation. I think there is compartmentalized, divided information that we're like, I think there are, hurt people. I think we have priorities can twist you, like ego can twist you, all these things. And ultimately, at the end of the day, like, if you go, oh, well, that thing that person did that seriously harmed that group of people, is evil, or you go, that thing that person did out of their twisted pain or misunderstanding of the world or misaligned values or whatever is not evil, but has the same effect. It's like, well, like potato, it still sucks. Like, we need to stop it. But that person somehow believes they're doing the right thing, just like I somehow believe I'm doing the right thing. Like, they truly do. So you have to assume just a genuine but different perspective, and then come together over that. We have to make these things happen in order for our political system to be more healthy. Because person to person, we can still be kind. Person to person, we can still look past differences. Person to person, we can still be understanding.
Thank you guys for watching. Tell us any insights you had in the comments below. And look out for The Distant Jump, a sci-fi thriller produced by these two handsome guys, coming out on streaming on February 7th. And if you live in Austin or Central Texas, the day before, February 6th, we're screening our film at the AFS Cinema in North Austin. I'll have a link to tickets below. And until then, thanks for watching.